Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Can you hear me? Please confirm in the chat box. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much. So let's stop the chat. Let's stop the chat. What's the plan for today's session? What's the plan for today's session? We'll understanding the concept. We already have learned about VPC and subnet in the last session. We'll be learning new components called internet gateway, a route table, what is private subnet and public subnet, how to make subnet public. So these are the new things what we are planning for today's session. Okay. So as usual, before jumping into the practicals of today's session, so let's have interaction. Maureen Nijango. How are you doing? Good evening. You are.
Actually,
I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm good. And you?
Doing well, Maureen. You're from which location and your experience, please?
Yeah, I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska, the United States.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You're doing a marvelous job.
Thank you very much. Are you attending right from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started with the 75th batch, but I couldn't finish. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I began with this one. I've been attending since the first day.
Okay. I hope you are enjoying the sessions.
I am, even though I'm a novice, but I'm really enjoying it.
Okay.
The way you teach, oh, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any technical question?
No, I just wanted to appreciate you. When my
Okay.
question will come up, I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you very much for your feedback.
Thank you.
It inspires me. Thank you. Small Prabhu.
Hey, Sunil.
Hi,
Good
Prabhu.
morning.
Good morning, Prabhu. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well, Prabhu. Thank you.
Really appreciate your teaching skills, Sunil.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I hope you are learning AWS good.
Yes. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Yes. Any question?
Just wanted to check. I mean, it's at basic level, but I just wanted to check in this virtual private cloud, is it something related to, we have a kind of deployments, right? Private cloud deployment, public cloud deployment, and the hybrid one. Is it the same?
No, that's different. Okay. This is from the infrastructure point of view. So that's different, Prabhu. Okay.
And that is from?
For deployment services. Okay. So
Okay.
how can we manage hybrid clouds? There's a different services. Okay.
Okay. In public cloud, do we have this VPC concept?
What can you give me an example of a public cloud?
Like, you can access the servers from from any internet, right?
Yes, that's called public cloud. Okay.
Correct.
Here it is called as public subnet. We are coming to that points. Okay.
Okay.
You have to wait, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Sunil, for the time.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nazmul Haq. Your question, Nazmul. Matthew, how are you doing? You are allowed to unmute and talk.
Yes, I'm doing fine. This is my second time to join you. I do enjoy your classes, so I always like to attend the classes.
Okay.
Some of the recordings behind, but I just like to join and review my knowledge on it.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Any technical questions?
No, not technical question. I just
Okay, thank you. It's a final call. Ruthwij.
Hi, Sunil. Good morning.
Good morning, Ruthwij.
Yeah, I was expecting to unmute me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to thank you and your team are doing a wonderful job. I also want to thank my ex office colleague.
Okay.
He shared me this information.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have not come across this wonderful training.
Okay. Thank you, Ruthwij. So, are you new to AWS? You already know AWS concepts.
Yeah, I'm very new to AWS, but before in our organization, I'm from the system administrative background,
Okay.
Windows.
Okay.
So we used to set up a lab environment for this trainings and all. So, but I have not attended those trainings.
Okay. Okay.
So
Now
so
you are
one,
attending and you are understanding how AWS cloud works, isn't it?
yes. It is very clear and very meaningful. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm also part of your
DevOps.
Agile, DevOps
Okay.
batch.
Okay. Okay.
So one thing I want to ask Sunil,
Mhm.
the WhatsApp group which you have created, are they remaining? Are they remain forever? Like
Yeah.
for
They
future
remain
updates,
forever. Yes. Yes. You get the updates on that particular
for
groups. Okay.
upcoming batches and all.
You are right.
Okay.
Are you
Thank you
there
so
in the
much.
AWS WhatsApp group of this
Yeah,
batch?
I'm there in both of the groups.
Okay. Continue the learning. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So let's start. Rohini, can we have a talk? Is that okay? Can we have a talk?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Thank you so much for unmuting.
Thank you. So what do you know about VPC?
VPC is a private cloud.
Mhm.
You can create a private cloud or infrastructure in AWS environment.
Okay.
You can also create a subnet under the VPC.
So what is subnet?
Subnet is like, for example, if you want to create a DB server,
Mhm.
like web servers, we
Mhm.
can create a separate web server for the separate subnet for that, so that it be allocated to that particular.
So say it as partition,
Yes, sir.
isn't it?
Yes, sir.
In easy words to understand, say it as a partition. So subnets are partitions inside the VPC. Agree?
Correct. Correct, sir.
What else you know?
There is no limitation of creating the subnet and the VPC.
Okay.
And also we have the formula, whereas like we can
How
create.
to determine the size of the VPC?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what's the formula?
If you give 16, we need, default it will be a 32.
What is 16 called as?
Actually, okay. 16.
We have to use the terminologies in the interview. It is called as subnet mask.
Sorry, sir. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
We have to use the right terminologies so that the interview will be effective. Okay.
Yes.
So 16 is called as subnet mask. Now explain the calculation.
So if 32 is the default subnet mask.
Not default. It's maximum number.
Sorry, maximum number.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Maximum subnet mask. Okay.
Yes. If you minus 16,
Okay.
will get.
You get the reminder. So the balance. So 2 to the power of that particular number, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is to determine the size of the VPC.
Correct.
So same thing also happens to determine the size of the subnet also. The same formula works. Agree?
Exactly.
Anything more you know about VPC?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's learn something more from here. Okay. Thank you. I want to quickly complete the practicals of whatever we have done in the last session. I want to create a VPC. I want to name it as my VPC. So VPC is nothing but a partition in a region So I want to create a partition. When a client wants to have their infrastructure, first step, what you have to do is to create a partition. We already know that. So let's go ahead and create a VPC. So when I'm creating a VPC, we need to provide the IP address series followed with the subnet mask. So this is what we are planning to do it. So let's complete the VPC part. So if you want to create a VPC, let's log into AWS Cloud. I'm sorry, I have promised some of the participants to post my payment link in the AWS WhatsApp group. I was not finding time to do that. So today I'll be posting the AWS WhatsApp payment link. And some participants want bank details, especially from abroad participants. So I'll be sharing the bank details so that you can add the beneficiary and proceed with the payment. You will get it today. Let's complete the part what we have learned in the last session so that we can learn something new here. Under services, you'll find networking and content delivery. Under that, we have a service called as VPC. This is how the VPC dashboard looks like. So if you want to see the list of VPCs, you can see your VPCs. So this is the default VPC. Please don't disturb the default VPC, default subnet. Don't disturb that. I have seen some participants doing that. So don't disturb that. Okay. So we should be focused. Okay. Go ahead and create a VPC. Name of the VPC. The IP address series followed with the subnet mask. We know it. Create VPC. VPC is created. Calculation. What is the size of the VPC? What is the how many machines your VPC can contain? Quick calculation. The maximum subnet mask is 32. We have used the subnet mask is 16. So the difference is 16. So the capacity of the VPC is 2 to the power of 16. That's the equation. I think 65,000 machines. So that's the VPC. We are done with creating VPC. Okay, so first step, what do we need to do when a client wants to dump their machines on AWS cloud? So first we have to create a partition. Let's say partition is done. Once partition is done, again, don't dump all the EC2 machines, all the servers inside the VPC. That's not a good approach. Clients will have different types of servers. Okay, client maintains different types of servers. Few will be web servers, few will be application servers, few will be database servers. So it's always good to make partitions inside the VPC and all the servers related to one type. Web server, keep it in one partition. All the servers related to database, better to keep it in one partition. Why are we doing this? This helps in improving the security, my dear friends. Okay, this helps in improving the security. So we need to follow these guidelines. Okay, so in the interview, they ask you, why do we need to create a subnet? You'll understand the importance of this subnet. You can maintain security at a great level when you use this concept of subnets. So I want to have two partitions inside the VPC. The partitions which we create inside the VPC are technically called as subnets. So my plan is to create two subnets in one website. In one, I want to name it as I want to name it as web subnet, and the second subnet I want to name it as DBSN, and all the web servers I want to place it in web subnet, and all the database servers I want to place it in the database subnet. So I want to create two partitions, and the IP address series which I want to define inside the subnet is /24. Sorry. So 1.series for web subnet, 2.series for DB subnet. Okay, so this is what I want to do it. So let's proceed and do it. We already have learned how to create subnets. Let's proceed. Below VPC, you have subnets option. There are 3 subnets. Understand the 3 subnets belongs to default VPC. Quick recap, the default VPC, every VPC will have a unique number that's called as VPC ID. The default VPC is ending with BBC. And you can see these are all the default subnets, and the default subnets belongs to subnet the VPC ID ending with BBC. That means these are the default subnets under the default VPCs. So do not disturb this. Go ahead and create a new subnet. Where do you want to create the subnet? Inside my VPC. What is the name of the subnet? WebSN. Mumbai is having three availability zones, so take any one availability zone, that's fine. IP address followed with the subnet mask. Done. So creating subnet is as simple as that. Practicals does not much take time. Concepts will take time in VPC. So I'm done with creating the first subnet. You can see the first subnet has been created. So the first subnet is name of the subnet is WebSN. That belongs to the new VPC which we have just now created. So similarly, I'll be creating one more subnet inside my VPC. The second subnet I want to place database server. So that's the reason I have named it as, I am naming it as DBSN. I want to have it in the same availability zone, and then the IP address followed to the subnet mask 2.0 series and create a subnet. So I am done creating VPC and creating two subnets inside the VPC. One subnet for web server, one subnet for database server. So that's what we have learned for today. This was what we have discussed yesterday. Let's learn something new in this session. Every topic is important. Every topic is related to the next session. Next important. Rohini, what is the size of the first subnet?
It's a 24, then 32 minus 24.
32 minus 24, the result is 8.
So,
Isn't it? So 2 to the power of 8.
Yes, sir.
Is the size. Agree?
Agree, sir.
So let's go to the calculator. $256, you mean to say?
Yes, sir.
Agree?
Yes, sir.
So as per our calculation, the size of the first subnet,
256.
as per our calculation, the size of the first subnet is 256 machines, that we can create 256 EC2 machines, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now this is the first subnet. Can you see this is the first subnet which we have created? Can you scroll this? When you scroll this, available IP addresses in the first subnet is showing as 251. Agree? Isn't
Yes.
it? It is showing as 251. In the same way, second subnet also, DBSN also, it is showing as 251 only. So as per our calculation, it should be 256, isn't it? It is showing as 251. Now let's try to understand this. Observation, in available IPv4 column, it is showing as 251, but we should get 2 to the power of 8. Even, am I right? 256, we should get it. That means 5 IP addresses are
missing.
In every subnet, 5 IP addresses are reserved by AWS.
Okay.
Search in Google reserved IP addresses in AWS.
Okay.
The first 4 IP address and the last IP address in each subnet are not available for you to use. So they are reserving the first 4 IP address and last total how many IP addresses? 5 IP addresses, 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and last one will be 0.255. So in every subnet, whenever you are creating, so remember that 5 IP addresses will be internally used by AWS. So they will reserve those 5 addresses in each subnet. That's not available for us to use. Okay, Rohini. So that's the reason you're getting it as 251. Very important question. Okay.
So it will mainly reserve for the AWS.
For the internal purposes, AWS. Okay. Okay. Next. Very important. Note. Every subnet by default is private. Every subnet is private by default. How many subnets we have created? 2 subnets we have created. The first one is WebSN. The second one is DBSN. So these 2 subnets are private. These 2 subnets are private. You may have a question, Sunil, what do you mean by private? Sunil, you are saying that every subnet is private. Okay, I agree, I understand it. But what do you mean by private? The meaning of private is, if you create an EC2 machine inside this particular private subnet, that EC2 machine cannot be accessed at all from the outside world. Nobody can access. That's the concept of private subnet.
So within
One
a
minute. I will definitely have a talk.
Sure.
Private subnet. What do you mean by private subnet? So in case if you create an EC2 machine in the subnet, in that particular subnet, that EC2 machine cannot be connected. Nobody in the world can connect. So the private subnet will not allow incoming connections from the external world. So that's why that's the behavior of private subnet. Okay, that's the concept of private subnet. Okay, now in the first subnet, what's our plan? Our plan is to create web server in the first subnet. Our plan is to create a web server in the first subnet. Web server should be available all over the world. It should be available to global. For example, if I open ICICIbank.com, I'm getting a web page. You know that I get a web page. From where I am getting this web page? I am getting the web page from the web server. The web server should be available to public. Anybody should be able to connect to web server. I should be able to connect to web server. People here in US who are able to connect to web server. Australia participants can connect to web server. Not only ICICI Bank, the web server should be available to. For example, I want to do online shopping. Amazon.in. From where I'm getting the page? I'm getting the page from the web server. So web server should be always available to the customers. That should be available to public. So that means if you create a web server, if you create any EC2 machine in the web subnet, that cannot be connected. If it is not connected, there is no meaning in creating the EC2 machine. It's useless, isn't it? Okay. So we should make the subnet as public. You should make this particular subnet as public so that anybody in the world can connect to the web servers and access the web pages. So we should make a particular subnet as public. Okay. By default, the default behavior is private. Okay. So we should make the subnet as public. Yes, Rohini.
So if it is a private subnet, for example, WebSN is a private subnet. If I want to access the EC2 machine inside in the same VPC in the DBSN, is that, I think it's not possible.
Not possible. No connections at all.
Okay. Unless we give the permissions.
Unless exclusively you have to define some configurations. Otherwise, it will not be connected. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank
you. So concept of private is nothing but, Rohini, anybody in the world cannot connect to that particular EC2 machine. When a machine is unable to connect to, nobody can connect or nobody uses, there is no meaning in creating the EC2 machine, isn't it, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
So that's the concept of private subnet. By default, every subnet is private. By default, every subnet is private. So generally web servers should be available all over the world. Web server should be available to Facebook, should be able to connect by all over the world. Twitter should be able to available all over the world. Banking applications, any application should be available. News portals should be available. Generally, websites, why do we develop a website? So that it will be available all over the world, isn't it, Rohini? Let's say you are starting a business. You want to have a website. That website should be available all over the world. Agree?
Yes, sir.
So generally, why do we create a website? So that it will have a public service. It can be available on public. Correct. So if you create but what AWS says that you have created subnet, very good, but the default behavior of subnet is private. So, but I want to make the subnet as public. Let's learn how to make the subnet public.
Sure, sir.
Once we make the subnet as public, then we'll have an interaction.
Sure, sir.
We want to make one subnet as public. Which one I want to make public? Web subnet, I want to make it as public. To make the subnet public, it's a two-step process. First, you need to enable public IP at the subnet level. I have to enable public IP at the subnet level. This is the first step. How to enable public IP? I'll show you. Which subnet I want to make it public? The web subnet I want to make it public. So go to your subnets, select the subnet whichever you want to make it public. Actions, modify auto assign IP settings. Enable public IP addresses. You have to enable public IP at what level? At the entire subnet level, you are doing it. Agree? You have successfully enabled public IP at for this particular web subnet. This is first step. Second step, you need to create internet gateway and attach internet gateway to VPC. We are now learning one more important component. We are now learning one more important component. What component we are learning? We are learning IGW, internet gateway. So next step, what you need to do is to create internet gateway. Let's do that. How to create internet gateway? What is internet gateway? I'll explain later. First, let's do that. Can you see in the dashboard? You can see internet gateways. Very good. This is the default internet gateway. As I told you, we should not disturb the default settings. Go ahead and create a new internet gateway. What is the name of the internet gateway which I want to create? The name of the internet gateway is my IGW. Name can be anything. I have created my internet gateway. That's it. Create internet gateway. I'm done with successfully creating the internet gateway. Where can I see the internet gateways? You can see here. So this is the default internet gateway, and this is the my internet gateway which I have just now created. And what is the status of the internet gateway? The status is detached. As per the diagram, the internet gateway should be attached to. As per the diagram, the internet gateway should be attached to VPC. So let's attach it. So select the internet gateway. Right now the status is detached. Go to actions. We have an option here, attach to VPC. To which VPC you want to attach it to? Obviously your VPC, that's my VPC. Attach internet gateway. I have successfully created a component called internet gateway, and I have attached internet gateway to my VPC. Next, what is the purpose of the internet gateway? What is the job done by this particular internet gateway? Internet gateway will help you to provide internet connectivity. Internet gateway will help you to provide internet connectivity. How two machines can be communicating to each other? Rohini, how can we communicate when one machine can communicate other machine? Only through internet, isn't it?
Correct, sir.
Okay, so when machines are not connected over the internet, obviously there's no communication. So in the same way, from my personal laptop, if I'm opening ICICIbank.com, the request should go to web server. Agree, Rohini? Request will go to web server. That means the web server should have internet connection.
Yes, sir.
So by default, the private subnets will not have internet connection. That's the concept. So point what we have to do is, for purpose of internet, to provide internet connectivity, the internet gateway, look at the name, internet gateway will help you to provide the internet connectivity to the subnet level. To which subnet you want to create internet connect? You want to provide internet connectivity to the web subnet. So I want to provide internet connectivity to the web server. So for that purpose, I have created internet gateway. Next, the purpose of the internet gateway is to provide internet connection. The purpose of the internet gateway is to provide internet connection to what level? Subnet level.
Okay.
The purpose is to provide at a subnet level, not to one EC2 machine. Don't think that it will be for one specific EC2 machine. It will be for the entire subnet. Clear, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
So internet gateway help you to provide internet connectivity to what level? Subnet level. That means if there are 50 EC2 machines inside the first subnet, all the 50 EC2 machines will have internet access. So internet gateway is used to provide internet connectivity to the subnet level. Next point. Internet gateways cannot be attached to subnet directly. It's not possible. Internet gateways cannot be attached to subnet. It's not possible. You need to take help of one more component called. You need to take help of one more component called. You need to take help of one more component called route tables. Internet gateways cannot be attached to subnet directly. It's not possible. So you need to take help of a component called route table. One end of the route table, we attach it to subnet. One end of the route table, we attach it to internet gateway. So that's how internet gateway can provide internet connectivity to the subnet with the help of route table. Am I clear, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
So what we need to do next step?
We need to create
A route table. Already internet gateway component is created. Now we need to create a route table. We cannot attach internet gateway to subnet, so we need to create a route table. How to create a route table? In the EC2 dashboard itself, you can see here we have an option called route tables. So do not worry about the existing route table. So we have how many route tables? 2 route tables. So do not worry about the existing route tables. Can you see one important observation? How many route tables we are having, Rohini?
2.
One route table is attached to default VPC. One route table is related to default VPC, and one route table is related to
my VPC.
That means, did you create this route table manually?
No, sir.
That means you have to understand that the route table component gets created automatically when you create a VPC.
Okay,
did
sir.
you understand?
Yes, sir.
We have not created it, isn't it? But still, it automatically available. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that when the moment you create a VPC, automatically a route table gets created. Okay. So that's the reason you are seeing 2 route tables. Clear, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
So don't worry about all this confusion. So what's our plan? Our plan is to create a route table. So let's go ahead and create a route table. Okay. So create route table. What's the name of the route table? Name of the route table can be anything. I'm writing it as my name. I can write it my name also. I want to end the route table with the name RT. Generally, I have a naming convention. Whenever I create a route table, I want to end it with the RT. So the moment I look at a component name, I understand that it's a route table. Name can be anything. So as we are connecting to internet gateway, as we will be using this route table for internet gateway, I'll write it as internet RT. This is the name of the route table. Where do you want to create the route table? You want to create the route table inside the VPC. So VPC, select where do you want to create the route table. I want to create the route table in VPC. That's it. Go ahead and create it. So I'm done with creating one more component called route table. Where can you see the route table which you have created? Obviously in the route tables dashboard, this is the name of the new route table which we have created. Am I right, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? It's pretty simple and clear. Agree?
Yes, sir. So one question I have regarding the router which you created when we create a VPC.
You're talking about the default the route table got created automatically when we create a VPC.
Yes, sir. What is the purpose of that?
We'll see that later.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Because this concept will be confused. So the people participants may get confused. So let's ignore this existing route tables. Our plan is to need a route table. Agree? Because internet gateways cannot be attached to subnet directly. So we need a route table. So that's the reason I have created this route table. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
What is the next step, Rohini? The next step is one end of the route table, I will attach it to subnet. So let's do that part. Select the route table which we have just now created. Actions, edit subnet associations. And you want to attach it to which subnet? The first subnet. Clear, Rohini? That part is done. So this contact is done. So route table is connected to subnet. Next, what we need to do? One more end of the route table, we need to attach it to IGW, Internet Gateway. Select the route table. Actions. Edit routes. Add route. Target. Target is what you want to connect to. You want to connect to your which component you want to connect it to? Internet gateway.
Yes, sir.
Which internet gateway? The my IGW component which you just now created. And destination, whenever you want the public access, we should always write 0.0.0. Whenever you want the external, we need to pull the from the external world. So we should always write destination to be 0.0.0.0. Don't think more about this and click on save. So we have provided both the connectivities. I have attached the route table to subnet, and the one end of the route table I also have attached to internet gateway.
Correct.
Now your subnet is public. When you perform all these steps, now this subnet belongs. Now the subnet is a public subnet. So very important from the interview point of view. What is the default behavior of the subnet? You have to say the default behavior of the subnet is private. How can we make the subnet public? Yes, we need to have an internet gateway component which helps you to provide internet connectivity. So we will be creating internet gateway. We'll be attaching the internet gateway to the VPC. Next, internet gateways helps you to provide the internet connectivity to subnet. But the point is internet gateways cannot be connected to subnet directly. So you need to take help of a component called route table. We will be creating the route table. One end of the route table, we will be attaching it to subnet. One more end of the route table, we will be attaching to internet gateway. And one more important point, we need to enable public IP. That's the first step. I hope you remember. So we should also enable, I hope you remember, I have done the first step also. We have to enable public IP at the subnet level. So these steps, when you do it, now your subnet is public. Now, if you create a EC2 machine inside the public subnet, definitely anybody in the world can connect. So now the subnet is public. Okay. As the subnet is public, anybody in the world can connect to EC2 machine if I create it inside the public subnet. Am I right, Rohini? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's do one thing. So let's learn how can we create a EC2 machine inside the subnet. Okay. Till now, we used right from day one, we are directly creating the EC2 machines, dumping directly. We are not worried about the VPC subnet and all those. Okay. This is the first time we are learning a professional approach of creating an EC2 machine inside the VPC. Inside VPC, there are two subnets. I want to create the EC2 machine inside the first subnet. So let's go ahead and learn that. If you want to create an EC2 machine, obviously you need to go to EC2 service. Right now we are in VPC, go to services, EC2. Instances. So don't worry about the existing instances. What's our plan is to create a new instance. Launch instances. I go with Amazon Linux. Same T2 micro instances, nothing special. In step 3, Rohini. In step 3, generally we used to focus on number of instances. That's it. We don't used to worry about all these options. Now the point is, can you see network here?
Yes,
in the network, you have to select in which VPC you want to create the EC2 machine. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is the default VPC. This is the new VPC. I want to create it in the VPC which we have created. Obviously, you can understand that subnets option below, immediately below the network. There are two subnets, isn't it, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
Web and database subnet. So I want to create it in DB subnet. So selecting the VPC and selecting in which subnet you want to create EC2 machine, that's part of step 3.
Yes, sir.
Scroll down and under advanced details, it's not an empty machine. I want to make it as a web server. So we know the bootstrap scripts which make that particular machine as a web server. And I am opening 2 ports, SSH port as well as HTTP port. I want to name the security group as WebSG with today's date. Today's 30/29. And for this particular EC2 machine, I'll be opening 2 ports, SSH port and HTTP port. And I download the key pair. So let's complete this part. Next. Security group. I want to name it as WebSG29. I want to open SSH port. I also want to open HTTP port. If anybody in the world can connect to this. And then review and launch. Click on launch. It will ask you to create a new key pair. Let's name it as WebKP29. Let's name this key pair. And I download the key pair in my desktop. Sunil folder, I download my key pair. It's downloaded. Launch. So this is the first time we have learned how to create an EC2 machine inside the VPC also. inside the first subnet. So let's, as it is a web server, as we have installed HTTPD, it's a web server. Do you remember, Rohini, the beginning days we have learned how to create a web server? Isn't it the same thing what I have done it? The new thing here, what we are learning is we are creating the web server inside the public subnet.
Correct.
Let's wait for the EC2 machine to be created. Okay. Now, Rohini, can we create a EC2 machine in the private subnet? Why not? You can create it, but it cannot be connected.
Yes,
But
sir.
it can be created, no doubt. Okay.
Mhm.
Generally, database servers are always created in the private subnet.
Correct.
Database servers are always be created in the private subnet because we want database, the client wants highest possible security to the database servers. Okay, they don't want database servers to be hacked. Database servers is should be highest most security. So when you want highly secured database servers, so it should always be created inside the private subnet because there's no concept of connectivity at all. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Nobody in the world can connect to the database subnet privately. So that's the reason I want to go ahead and create one EC2 machine.
Mhm.
I want to go ahead and create one EC2 machine in the private subnet. Private subnet is nothing but, in other words, the second subnet. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's go ahead and create that. Okay. Next. Okay. Now, visualize what should happen. From my personal laptop, Rohini, if I opening from my Google Chrome, ICICIbank.com, whatever it is, okay, the request should always first go to the web server. Okay, isn't it? And as a user, I get the web page.
Correct.
I log in with my internet banking and I will log in with my internet login password. Okay, and I get the login page, home page. When I click on mini statement, Rohini, when I click on mini statement, I get the last 10 transactions. Agree or not?
Yes, sir.
When you're getting last 10 transactions, that means the data is there in the database subnet.
Correct, sir.
Agree or not? So the web server request from the web server, when I click on mini statement, request from web server should go to DB server, because the DB server only we have the data. Request from the web server should go to DB server. From the DB server, I should get the last 10 rows.
Mhm.
I should get the last 10 rows to the web server, and those last 10 rows will be shown to the end user. Agree or not? That's what happens. So communication should happen like this. The request web server should be available to global. Everybody should be able to web server, but database server it should be highly secured.
Yes, sir.
How can you make sure that the database servers are highly secure? That's the reason we always prefer to maintain database subnets, database servers in the private subnet, and so who should be able to connect to the EC2 machines inside the private subnet? The only web servers should be able to connect to the database servers. So within the subnet communication, you have to establish. Are you understanding, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
So what I'll do, let's proceed with creating EC2 machine inside the private subnet. And what I will do is communication between the web server to database server happens using MySQL port. Communication will happen using MySQL port. So I will be opening what port? Obviously, I will be opening the MySQL port to the entire subnet level. Are you understanding? The MySQL port should be open to the entire subnet. That means any EC2 machine can communicate to a DB server through only this web server are authorized. The web server EC2 machines are authorized to communicate to database server. So let's say if a hacker tries to directly hacks the database server, it will not be possible. That's how you can provide a highest level of security. Are you understanding? So MySQL port should be open to the entire subnet level.
Sure, sir. Yes,
You may
sir.
have a question, participants. Why should we open for the entire subnet level? If we open to one particular EC2 machine, that's enough, because the request will go to that particular EC2 machine. From that particular EC2 machine, request will go to database server. Why are we opening for the entire subnet level? Yes, we have to open at the entire subnet level, because when we implement auto scaling, when the traffic increases, what should happen, Rohini? The new EC2 machine gets created automatically, isn't it? When the traffic increases, and this EC2 machine should also communicate to the database server if required. So that's the reason it's not specific to one machine. We'll be opening the MySQL port to the entire public subnet. So what we are doing now, we are creating one EC2 machine inside the private subnet, and we will be opening the MySQL port to the entire subnet level. Let's proceed. Launch instances. As usual, I'm going with Amazon Linux. T2 micro instances. I want to create my one more EC2 machine inside my VPC, this time inside the second subnet. And I want to create a security group with the name DBSG29. All the sessions are very, very important. And then the key pair, what I want to download is so let's do that. So next, click on next, storage, next, configure security group. So what port I should open? I should open MySQL port. I should open MySQL port, source custom, and 10.0.1.0/24. Okay. So to this particular series, Rohini, 10.0.1.0/24, 1.0/24 refers to EC2 machines which are belonging to the first subnet, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So let's say, for example, calculation. So the maximum subnet mask, again, calculation, the maximum subnet mask is 32. We have used 24. The difference is 8. 2 to the power of 8 is 256 machines, technically 251. So those 251 machines are allowed to connect to the DB server. Only 251 machines are allowed to connect to DB server. Those 251 machines are nothing but the machines which are belonging to the first subnet. So that's the reason I have provided the range of series here. Okay, so I hope you're understanding.
Yes, sir.
And then let's proceed. Review and launch. Click on launch. Create a new key pair. DBKP29. Download the key pair. Launch instances. Okay, so that's that created. So we have created one EC2 machine in the public subnet. We have created one EC2 machine in the private subnet. Okay.
I have one question. Can I
Yes,
ask?
Rohini. Yes.
So I created a DB server. We have created one EC2 machine, which will be open to the whole subnet. Subnet.
You're right. It will be open to this particular entire subnet.
Yes, sir. So
Yes.
next time when I create another subnet in the DB,
Another
another EC2 machine in the database server.
1 minute. Let have picture. So your question is, if you create one more DB server,
yes, sir. Then again, I need to create.
You have to open it. If you want to communicate, you have to open a MySQL port to this particular subnet.
So if I have other than web server, if I have another subnet, then
You have to open to that subnet. Let's say 3.0, this is one more subnet. You can attach it to multiple subnets. Okay.
Okay. There is no limitation.
There is no limitation. Okay.
Sure. Sir. Thank you, sir.
So, so Rohini, let's look at the EC2 machine which is there in the public subnet. This is the EC2 machine which we have created in the public subnet. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The interesting point you need to understand that, can you see the private IP address? It is taking 1.0 series, 10.0.1. It has taken some random number 78. So definitely, as you have mentioned, hard-coded that 1. Series, it will take one random number. Need not be always starting with 1.0 or 1.1. It can pick up any random number. Okay. Similarly, and generally, as one important observation, we all know it, Rohini, every EC2 machine will have public IP address and private IP address. Isn't it? This is a public IP address and private IP address. This is the observation, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So that's about web server. Now let's experience the behavior of a EC2 machine. This is the EC2 machine, DB server. This EC2 machine belongs to private subnet. Interesting point, it is not having public IP.
Correct.
This is the first time you are experiencing an EC2 machine which is not having public IP address.
Okay.
Whenever an EC2 machine does not acquire a public IP, that means you have to understand that the EC2 machine is inside the private subnet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the first time you're not finding an IP address. That's because it's in the private subnet. Next point, the IP address series starts with 2 dot, isn't it? 10.0.2 series. Okay. Because it is there in the second subnet. So that's quick observations. So now observation, IP address web server belonging to 1 dot series, DB server IP address belongs to 2 bit dot series. Are you able to access the web server? Now, can anybody in the world can access the web server, Rohini?
Yes, sir.
Can anybody in the world can access this web server?
Yes, sir.
Let's test it. Let's take the IP address of that particular EC2 machine. Picking the IP address I'm accessing from my browser. Are you getting my Google too?
Yes, sir.
Not only me, anybody should be able to access web server. You may be in any part of the world. Pick up the IP address from the chat box and copy that IP address 13.233.109.206 from your personal laptops or mobile phones and try to access. You should also get my Google 2 page. Rohini, can you try to access this particular IP address from your personal machine if possible?
Sure, sir.
13.233.109.26. Are you able to get the access to the web server? If yes, please type yes in the chat box. Perfect. So what's, my dear friends, it's something like icsabank.com. It's all about how beautifully you design the website. Now here we have made it as Google too. But the point is, web servers should be available to public. That's the concept. Database servers should be highly secure. How do you make sure that the database are secure? So keep it in the private subnet. And you also have established link between the web server and database server. So if I click on Minist, if I log in internet login pass, if I log in by providing the, if I log in to internet banking by using proper login username and password, when I click on mini statement button, this particular web server request will go to database server. I will get the page. That's what technically happens. This is how we have to define. What is the importance of private subnet? It's for security.
Yes, sir.
So that's all you have to understand it. I hope you have now understood where is our agenda. So you know how to create VPC subnet. We already have learned it. You know the behavior of public subnet and behavior of private subnet. Private subnet is not accessible external to world. Nobody in the world can connect to private subnet. It's how you have to define the rules. Who should be able to connect it? I have defined the rules. I have clearly defined the rules saying that the MySQL port should be okay. Sorry, the MySQL port should be open to the entire subnet level. So according to the rules you define, only they will have access. Otherwise, nobody can access. Okay, so that's how you're not compromising on the security. So when that's very important point, what is the highest concern the clients have when they migrate to cloud? The most important question, the most important concern the clients have when they go to AWS cloud or whatever it is my infrastructure secure or not? Right now there are a lot of vulnerable issues happening all over the world, isn't it? So a lot of virus hacking. So is my infrastructure secured or not? AWS does not compromises on security. At wherever possible, it provides the highest levels of security. So okay, the S3 buckets also we have encryption option. In EC2 also you are defining who should be able to control the EC2 machine. So there is no compromise on the security. So by making how to make the public subnet as public, you now know the steps. So you need to enable public IP and you need to create internet gateway. You need to attach internet gateway to VPC. We need to create route table. One end of the route table, you need to attach it to subnet. One more end of the route table, you have to attach it to internet gateway. That's how you can make your subnet as public. Generally, web servers should be inside the public subnets and database servers should be inside the private subnets. I hope now this session helped you to understand few more components about VPC. Now it's long time now. Obviously, I don't want to break the example. That's the reason. Now it's time for interaction.
Sir, one last question
Yes.
I have regarding the port which we open for the SQL.
MySQL port we have opened.
Yes, sir. Is there any specific port we need to mention, or like any port?
No, for example, if it is an Oracle database, Oracle documentation will provide you what is the default port of Oracle. That port you have to open it. Okay, that's not a problem.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
I hope I am very clear in explaining you few more components of Internet Gateway. Please, any questions, please raise your hand, starting with Mohan Reddy.
Hi, Sunil.
Hi, Mohan. How is the session?
Yeah, it's very good. First of all, I would like say thank you to giving the sessions. I would try to teaching from past couple of months.
Okay.
So I got your reference.
Okay.
So I got your reference from one of my colleague.
Okay.
Uh,
He's
so
working in AWS. He's working in cloud platform. Your colleague?
I think so. He's working on. Actually, basically, he's in New Jersey.
Okay.
So like that, I got it. So even I was attending past meetings also, but somehow I was not able to continue. But this is a session I completely going through this.
Now you're dedicated completely to this.
Yes, yeah. Even I got the external training from DevOps, but I don't get much knowledge on that. But I'm going through your session, so it's a wonderful sessions, and
So
hope
you
everyone.
are also learning DevOps also?
I already got the training from my external trainer.
Okay, got it. Okay.
That was not the fully getting knowledge. But
Okay.
I'm also parallel taking your classes.
Oh, you also joined DevOps in my batch. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Technical
Coming to
question.
the question, so I somehow I lost this today concept like internet routing table and internet gateway. So if we can explain
Very
it
simple.
briefly.
Very simple, Mohan. By default, when we create a subnet, it is private. Default behavior, Mohan. Okay.
Yes, you're right, Sunil.
Okay, you don't need to mute it. Please unmute it. So by default, the behavior is private. That means nobody in the world can connect.
Right.
Okay. But web server should be able to connect, isn't it? So web server should be available to public, Mohan Reddy. So first thing what we need to do, we need to provide internet connectivity to the subnet level. The first thing. Okay. So internet gateway help you to provide internet connection. Okay. Internet gateway help you to provide internet connection to the VPC. Okay. Otherwise, the VPC will not have internet connection at all by default. No internet connection to the entire VPC.
It's like individual pitch.
Right. You're right. So we have to create an internet gateway component and attach it to VPC. And then you have to determine to which subnet you want to provide internet connectivity. I want to provide it to first subnet. Okay. And one more important point, as I told you, internet gateways cannot be attached to subnet directly. That's not possible, Mohan Reddy. So we have created one more component called route table, and we have linked a subnet and route table. That's it.
So routing table is act as a in between.
It's an adapter or something like that, which helps you to provide connectivity to the internet connection to the subnet. Okay. Okay.
So parallelly, I'm also doing the practice right away. So
you have to do it to get the best of the training. You have to spend some time. When you listen and leave, we will forget, Mohan, isn't it?
Yes,
Am I right?
yes, you are right.
You do practice also when you at least if you're not participants not finding time to practice, at least revise the recording before coming to next session.
Sure. I'm like I would like to say the if you can say the payment link so that I may get
Today I'll share the payment link. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for yours.
Thank you, Mohan.
Yeah, it's a great.
Thank you. Prasanna Surapaneni.
Hello, Sunil.
Hi, Prasanna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Generally, we have some of the options so that the user will not be able to access in particular web. You'll have like banking applications will not have access for a particular
Particular?
Like user cannot access it for some.
That is by at your location level. Let's say, for example, Prasanna, your internal organization is restricting outgoing communications. Okay. So that is happened at your local network. Okay. Okay. So let's say, for example, from in few organizations, if you open ICICI Bank, it will not work. Isn't it, Prasanna? In few companies, if you open facebook.com, it will not work. It will not be connected. Agree? That means that they are controlling at their local area network, LAN, at their level. Okay, that is nowhere related to cloud level. Okay.
Okay, Sunil. Thank you.
Okay. Prerna Ignawale. Prerna.
Hello, Sunil. Good morning.
Hi, Prerna. Good
I
morning.
was just so my question to you was, is this something similar to VPC peering in? I mean, is this something this concept related to VPC
Yes,
peering?
you are right. It is related to VPC peering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you know
Yeah,
VPC peering.
Yeah, I learned this in my Google Cloud trainings actually.
Okay.
So I was just trying.
This is something similar, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very similar actually. It is a kind of revision. So
Yeah.
as you said that you need not to learn each cloud differently.
Not
Even
required.
if you
Learn one
yeah.
cloud, you can learn the rest of the clouds.
Yeah. Only
by
the thing
yourself.
is that the concepts are different. But whenever you're explaining that, I get to know, yeah, this is something this in Google and it is called this in
You are right.
AWS.
The user interface, the terminologies differ. Okay, but the concept remains the same.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much for your efforts.
Thank you. Khadir Mohammed.
Good morning, sir. First of all, thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Kadir. You're from which location?
I'm from Hyderabad, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know AWS, or is the first time you're learning, Kadir?
This is the first time, sir.
How is your experience? Isn't it good?
Yeah, really excited and really thankful to you, sir.
How do you happen to know? Is it through reference or?
One of my friend shared the link, sir, and I am attending these classes.
Okay.
Sir, my question was, in order to, the DB in DB subnet, we are opening a port, a MySQL port on EC2 machine to web server subnet, right? To
Yes,
the entire subnet, we are opening it.
Yes.
So is it possible to, instead of opening the port EC2 the MySQL port on EC2 machine, can we open it on the subnet level, sir? For the DB subnet,
No.
the entire
Subnet level opening port we'll be discussing it coming classes. Okay. So at subnet level also there's a concept called NACL. So we will be learning that. Okay. That part also we'll be learning. Okay. At subnet level, how to open the ports.
Okay. Sir, one more thing, sir. In the subnet, sir, do we have an option to move the machines from one subnet to another subnet, sir? Just if you plan to move some servers from web subnet to DB subnet, can we migrate?
We can do
EC2 machines.
I'm not sure it, but it is possible. Okay.
Yeah, sir. One more
You
question.
can say it as Sunil. You don't need to call me. How many years of experience you have?
I have 10 plus years of experience, Sunil.
Okay. Yeah. On which technology?
I was mainly into kind of NOC, sir. I was working as a NOC analyst.
Okay.
Where I was monitoring and configuration of SolarWinds and all.
Okay.
Recently, I have been got promoted to work as a Windows administrator.
Okay.
Past 1 month, I'm working as a Windows administration. I have learned VMware and server administration and all.
Okay.
So when I'm learning this, like I can relate to those things.
Yes.
I mean, like VMware and also.
Okay. Okay.
The good thing is in my organization we have like an hybrid cloud. So we have on premises as well as cloud.
So you will have you can implement these in your organization. Okay. So as you are learning this. Okay. So all the best for your career.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. We'll have a meetup plan if possible in Hyderabad. So participants, we can have a meet and have a coffee.
That would be great.
Let me the date and location.
Sure. We had last time also. We had a meetup plan. Okay. Now we'll definitely for this batch we'll have it. Yes, sir. Raghu Pavan.
Hello.
Yes, Raghu.
Yeah, Sunil. So my doubt is like the same doubt which was the previous person asked. So for DBSN, we are directly giving to one EC2 machine, right?
Okay.
That
You
part.
want
So
entire, you want to open the port at subnet level, right?
Yes, yes.
You have to
Because
wait for
maybe
one more day. We'll see that how to open the ports at subnet level.
Okay, so to bypass this, if we as we are using for WebSN auto aliasing, so in the same way for DBSN also,
we can do that. It's not exactly bypassing. It has actually increases one more layer of security. So that's called stateful and stateless in nature. We'll see that. Okay.
Okay. So here also in DBSN, this auto scaling may keep, and at that time it will.
From the database perspective, we should not use the term called auto scaling. In database perspective, how exactly we can scale up that is handled at RDS service level, relational database service. Okay. So when we learn about database service, you'll understand.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Asha Sajja.
Hi, Sunil. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question here is, we have created a web server subnet and the database subnet in one VPC, right? Is it possible to connect the web server subnet with another, which is available in the other VPC?
Yes, it's VPC connectivity you want. That's called VPC peering concept. Okay, that comes under professional level training. It is possible.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you. Hands-on is very important. Puliseti Sriram.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a question is regarding somewhat into network. So what I am having the doubt is when we are going to increase the count of the size of subnet, means earlier we mentioned
right now the size is 256. Now we want to increase it to 512.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one more question is
how can we increase it, right? Your question is?
Yes. If 256 are if 250 servers are completed, then how to add some more?
We can edit the size. Okay. So you can go and modify the settings. Okay.
Okay, sir. And is it like subnet is belongs to prod, and whenever we completed testing on any test server, it is going to prod.
No. There's no concept of subnet belonging to prod. Subnet belonging.
No, sir. It's our design like that. We are moving to test to prod like that.
Okay.
One new machine to existing subnet. Those are two questions for me.
I don't understand. A second question I don't understand.
No. Now WebSN is there, and there is a one server. It's already
there in the WebSN.
running with some other IP.
You're right. No, I don't understand your question. Please repeat.
No, sir. WebSN is there, and there are some servers are in that subnet.
Yes,
one server is already created and running outside. There is no. It is not belongs to.
You want to move the EC2 machine which is outside the subnet to inside.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's possible. Okay, no problem.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Let's have a final call. Jeevan Kamble.
Hi, Sunil.
Hi, Jeevan. How are you?
Good. First of all, thanks for all this wonderful session. Actually, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you are audible. You are very clear. Your question, please.
So I just want to know that because I am not good in a networking concepts. So
no problem. You are able to understand, right?
Yes. So I just want to know that when we are taking the subnets, so /22 or whatever the number we are taking. So what are the logic behind that? Or
we have seen it, right? Calculation. What if it is 24? What is the logic? You need to subtract from 32. Jeevan, you are there in the last session?
Yeah, I was there.
So the calculation is pretty simple, right? So
no, but the number 24 or number 16, how can we consider?
You're talking about the subnet mask value, right?
Yes.
So what subnet mask value assuming 24?
Yes,
What is
yes.
maximum number allowed? 32.
32. Yes.
What we have used in our example? 24. The difference is what?
No, but
8.
why we are taking this 24? The reason
Tell me which number you want to take. Let's take 23.
No, but is there any logic? Why
No, there's no
the
logic. These are meaningful numbers, right? That's the reason. There's no logic behind that. Okay.
Okay.
You don't, instead of 24, take 25, then 2 to the power of 7. I think 128 easy to machines can create it. That's
So
it.
there is no any concept
No
like
concept. It doesn't make any difference. Okay. It's up to the client how big infrastructure it is. According to that, we define the size. Okay.
Okay.
Clear,
It
Jeevan?
should be below the 32, right?
Yes, obviously. It will be below 32.
Okay.
Maximum number is 32.
Maximum number is 32. Yes, great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeevan. Okay. Thank you all. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Continuation of this session will be tomorrow. Many more concepts to be introduced in VPC in tomorrow's session. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Bye, everybody.